One of the best to ever do it. Also one of my favorite people, Pro Football Hall of Famer, 17 seasons in the NFL with the Oilers, the Vikings, the Seahawks, and Chief Warren Moon. How are you this morning?
I am great, Kay. How you doing? You ready for the Super Bowl?
Yes, I'm on top of the world. Are you kidding? You're joining me. You're taking like a little slice of your day to give me a slice of pure joy and happiness. I love talking to you. Every conversation I walk away from you, I'm like, I never thought of it that way, or that was really insightful. And hell yeah, I'm ready for the Super Bowl. I think people hate the Super Bowl, Warren. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, I know the championship games have a lot of drama to them because you're trying to get there. And once you get there, it seems like everybody relaxes and now you can just go play the game. Where when you're in a championship game, you don't know who's going to be the two teams. So there's a lot more anticipation, a lot more excitement. That's probably the reason why. And then most casual fans can't go to the Super Bowl. I think that has a lot to do with it as well. And they just feel like
Warren.
it's something out of their reach.
Warren, people are hating it because they hate the Chiefs and they hate the Eagles.
Well, yeah, that too. I don't know why
Yeah.
people hate greatness. I mean, this is something that people should want to see. It's never happened before. Three-peat in football. You got, the Philadelphia Eagles who just played them a couple of years ago and almost won that game a couple of years ago, only lost by 3 points. So I think it's going to be a great matchup. I don't know why people don't think that.
I think they don't want to see him three-peat. I think that they get all the calls. There's this Chiefs fatigue. There's yada, yada, yada. And on the Eagle side, can't really, I mean, I feel like Jaylen gets a lot of heat too that I don't love. Before we dig into the game, can I take you down memory lane, Warren?
Sure.
Okay, let's go back. When I see that Chiefs logo in Arrowhead Stadium, I of course think December 16th, 1990, where you, my friend, threw for 527 yards. What do you remember from this game?
I remember we were going against probably one of the best defenses in the league. I think they were number 3 at the time in the league. I think they had 6 or 7 Pro Bowlers. We knew we were going outside in some very cold, kind of damp weather. So all those things were going against us, with the type of offense that we ran. So we knew we had to really be on it that day, as far as our execution and try and get ahead early because Kansas City's a tough place to play as far as the crowd and the noise. So we did get ahead early, and I just had one of those games where I didn't feel like I could miss, and then my receivers did a great job after the catch. They made some big runs after the catch, and that's what allowed all those yards to pile up.
Second most passing yards in NFL history still. And you did it against a top defense on the road. You just were having a day?
You know what, Kay? I had a pass that they showed back later on after the game. It was a 33-yard corner route that they called out of bounds, and it was in bounds after they showed that they didn't have replay back then. But I would have broke the record that day if they would have allowed that pass.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then I came out of the game early because we were ahead, so I didn't want to keep throwing the football. But yeah, I could have broke the record if I wanted to, but I felt like we might play this team again in the playoffs. You don't want to do anything to give them any more motivation to beat you.
That's very cool of you. You were 27 yards away from that record, but it still stands and you're still in the history books, of course. Now, last week, if I'm looking at this matchup, Eagles, Chiefs, which we're both excited for, I like that we're on the same side. This was Jaylen's best performance of the season, not only for him, for these Eagles. What should the game plan look like? What is the formula for this Eagles team and Jaylen, knowing Spags is going to be ready for everything?
I think this team knows what their strength is. Their strength is Saquon Barkley, so they're going to really focus on the running game and their powerful offensive line. They are kind of banged up front, so that's going to be unusual to see how those guys heal up over these next couple of weeks because they lost, their center, and they lost both centers actually, and we'll have to see if both of those guys are ready to play. Dickerson, the guard, will move back to his position hopefully. But yeah, you have to focus on what your strength is, and then you also have 2 really good wide receivers if they try and gang up and take away Saquon. So this is a team that's set up to be almost unstoppable if your quarterback is on his game throwing the football.
All quarterbacks get criticism. You know that. I feel like Jaylen gets a lot more. Should he be getting more credit than he gets?
Yeah, I think he should because the game is about winning, and his teams win. I don't know what his percentage of winning is, but it's probably up there with some of the best to ever play the game. And and he seems to do what they need to done at that particular time. It doesn't mean he has to throw for 250, 300 yards every week, but he does things with his legs as well. As you see here, him scoring a touchdown on a quarterback draw, and just anything that it takes. If it's a big scramble at a certain time, if it's not taking a sack and throwing the ball away where they don't take negative yardage, he does a lot of really smart, good things for his football team. But again, they know where their strength is in that running game, and they've been taking advantage of that against most opponents this year.
46 and 20 is his record. That's pretty darn good. If that's what we're judging quarterbacks by, and we should. He has five playoff wins already.
Yeah, he's a pretty special player, a pretty special winner, and he was that way in college. You know, he was a great winner at Alabama. Didn't throw for big stats there either, but took his team to a national championship game, and then he did it when he went to Oklahoma and transferred.
Do you think that number 1 that he wears helps him a little, Warren? What is that? What little Warren Moon edge does that give him?
I don't know. That number means something different, I'm sure, to everybody. But, you know, for me, it was just a constant reminder of where I wanted to be as far as one of the best quarterbacks to play the game when I was playing. And then for my team to always look at that number and say, that's where we want to be. We want to focus on being number 1 all the time as well. So looking at your leader on your football team wearing that number, it's a constant reminder to everybody of where we want to finish.
I went down a wormhole this morning of, you know, I read why you picked number 1, and I said, yeah, that's pretty obvious. It's not like every quarterback should want to wear that number 1. Nobody did. You did it. I think the next QB to do it after you was Cam. When you saw Cam rock the 1, what were your thoughts?
Well, I loved it, and I ended up becoming really good friends with Cam. I ended up helped training him coming out of college at Auburn to get him ready for the combine and the NFL draft. So to see what he did in college with that number, win a national championship, then he went on in the NFL and won an MVP and went to a Super Bowl. Yeah, that makes you proud that maybe sometimes people wear a number because you wore it and then they had success doing it.
You're friendly with a lot of quarterbacks. I know you met Jayden Daniels back when he was a sophomore in college. I want to know the first meeting, the first impression, because you've met a lot of these young QBs at different points in their career. Jayden, what stuck out to you?
You know, I had watched him play on television, but was really impressed with his maturity when I met him in person. For a kid that was only, I think at the time, 19 years old, he just had tremendous maturity for a kid his age. And we were doing a panel discussion with myself and James Harris and Doug Williams talking about the African-American quarterback, and he was one of the current guys we had involved in that discussion. And just the way he carried himself in that discussion just showed me this kid was going to be special one day, and he turned out that way.
And I'm trying to think of what a loss like this does to him. Biggest stage.
It just makes him hungry. I just think it makes him hungry. You know, he got this far in his first year. Hopefully he doesn't get comfortable and say, oh, this is the way it's going to happen every year, and not work as hard or be as focused coming into next year as he was this year. I don't think he'll do that because of his maturity. And I think the rest of his football team will definitely follow his lead because they see what they have the capability of doing with a guy like him at the helm of their football team. So I think it's only going to make him hungrier to try and get a little bit further, which is one step, the Super Bowl.
They got a lot of money to play with. 87 million. Give me, what's the dream wish for Warren Moon for Jayden Daniels? What position, what type of player, what does he need?
Well, I think you always want to, shore up your offensive line to give him more protection. You can always use another explosive player on the outside.
Okay.
We don't know what that could be. And then defensively, that's where I think they need the most help. On that defensive side of the ball, you got to be able to stop people a little bit better than they have been able to. You can't outscore everybody every week. And I think on the defensive side, I'm sure their coach Quinn is going to go out there and try and find pieces that fit his defensive philosophy.
I mean, a fairy tale season, unbelievable. I cannot wait to see what's ahead with them. The other team that lost was the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen cannot seem to get to the Super Bowl. I think he's probably questioning, will I ever get to the Super Bowl? Maybe not this whole offseason, but at some point. That's really hard to fall short. Do you have empathy for him when you watched him lose, when he's sitting on the bench after the game? What was going through your head?
Yeah, I do feel bad for him because he played so well, and it's not like he made any big mistakes or anything like that that led to the outcome of the game. I mean, he played his tail off, and he's probably wondering to himself, what do I have to do to beat this football team? But it was that way when Brady was playing against Manning too. And at some point, Manning overcame Tom Brady, but he lost to him a bunch of times before that. So I think one day it'll happen, but it's not going to happen this year. And I don't know if what they maybe figure out what the turning point in the game was or what they feel like they need to do the next time they play them. I think settling for field goals and not making it on fourth downs and things like that are the things that hurt you against a team like this. You've got to score touchdowns when you get a chance to score touchdowns and not make it a game that's doable for Patrick Mahomes to bring you from behind by one score in the fourth quarter. You've got to be ahead by more than one score in the fourth quarter.
Warren, you played in so many big games, so many meaningful games. You faced adversity in the playoffs, trying to knock through that door too. How long
Yeah.
did it take you? Like, what was your process after a loss like that into sort of getting yourself off the mat? Did you take time away? And I can't even imagine social media. Like, imagine like that element too.
Yeah, I didn't have to deal with the social media part of it, but um, yeah, it takes you about a week or so to get over a loss like that, because when your season ends, and it's like that for every other team in the league that ends up losing, and whether it's their regular season game and knocks them out of the playoffs, or whether it's the playoff game that they lose that knocks their season over. Uh, every player goes through that. There's only one team that's happy at the end of this season. One of these teams in this Super Bowl are not going to be happy and feel like their season was not a success. So that's what you feel like. And the first thing you do is start thinking about, what can I do to make myself better? And then what can I do to help our football team become better?
Warren, it is so special to talk to you. Do you have a pick for the Super Bowl?
You know, I played with the Chiefs my
Hmm.
last team in my career, and I've been a big fan of theirs ever since. I met Patrick when he came out of college because he was represented by my agent Lee Steinberg. So
Hmm.
I'm going with the Chiefs because I want to see history. I want to see a three-peat if possible. Um, it's going to be a heck of a game, though. It's going to be a heck of a game.
You're somebody who celebrates greatness. You also are vocal
Dude,
and so eloquent about the experience of the Black quarterback, what you went through. 2022, and these two quarterbacks, that was the biggest headline, that it was Jalen
yeah.
versus Patrick. I'm sort of curious, what do they ask you about your experience? Like, what are those conversations like with these young men who are stars in this league?
You know, they don't have a whole lot to say to me. I do most of the talking, but they just want to hear what you have to say about your experiences,
Mm.
and I'm sure they probably relate that to theirs, or kind of figure out, well, hey, maybe I'm experiencing some of that, or this is something that I didn't have to experience because of him, whatever it might be. But uh, all these guys, I love the way they're playing the game, the way they handle themselves with class, and the way they use their platform for social justice, for raising money for charities, all the different positive things they do in their communities. So that's something I'm really proud of these guys for doing.
You're so humble. I know they have millions of questions for you. I can't even imagine. I do want to ask you about the Titans. Can we talk about the draft? Is it too early?
Yes, we can.
First overall pick, my friend. Oh my goodness. Hall of Famer Warren Moon. What would you like them to do with that pick?
You know, it just depends on how in love they are with Will Levis, because they just drafted him
Mm.
one a couple of years ago, and it really hasn't, I'm sure, happened the way they want it to. But he has gone through two coaches, so I think that's something that they have to weigh. Do they want to go forward with him, or do they want to go with another young quarterback? And I think that's just a decision they're going to have to make here in the next short period of time. They have a new coach, they have a new not a new coach, they have a new general manager.
Hmm.
So there's going to be some philosophy discussions that have to be made with those two sides to see whether they want to go with Levitz, or do they want to go a whole another direction with either a veteran that's out there, or maybe another rookie and start all over again.
Warren, how in love with Will Levis are you?
Um, he does some good things, but he also does
Hmm.
some things that make you scratch your head. But he's a young quarterback, and again, he's gone through some coaching changes, so I don't know. I'm not with him every day. I don't really know what his makeup is, his personality is, any of those things. But that's something that the Titans know very well because they've watched him now for 2 years. I don't think he finished the season as their starter this year. I think it was Mason Rudolph. So
Yes, it
I'm
was.
not. I don't know. I'm not sure what they're going to do, but I have a sneaking suspicion they're going to probably go out and try and get another quarterback.
Now, is that quarterback, does his name rhyme with Aaron Schmodgers? Would you would you be interested in his services? Do you think that would be an interesting move, the right move potentially?
I don't know if he's the move for this young football team.
Hmm.
To bring in Aaron at this point. I think Aaron would be better with a more veteran football team. So I don't think Tennessee is necessarily the place for him.
Eli Manning, Hall of Fame finalist. He's
Yes,
going
he
to
is.
join you with that gold jacket at some point. We'll find out, by the way, in a week from today, actually. Is Eli a first ballot Hall of Famer, Warren? Tough questions for you today.
I think if you become a Hall of Famer, you have the ability to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. It doesn't matter when it happens for you, if it happens in your 10th year or it happens in your first year. If you have the ability to get selected at any point, that means you have the ability to maybe happen on your first time. So, yes, I guess I have to say yes.
I love that. Before I let you
But he
go,
could,
so
but
you're
he could also be a 10th year selection too. Who knows?
I mean, I'd like you to tell me if you being this you know what it takes to be a first ballot. Is he in your eyes a first ballot Hall of Famer, Warren?
Okay, I stay away from that.
Smart. Listen, I love that. I love that
Like
for
I
you and by you. But
said,
I have to
I
ask the
think
question.
I'll put it this: he's a Hall of Famer. There's no question about it.
Yeah. I mean, your answer is right there. If you thought he was a first ballot Hall of Famer, I think you would have given him
But
the nudge across the
there's a
tush
lot of
push.
guys sitting out. There's a lot
No,
of
I know.
guys sitting out there waiting, and we'll just have to wait and see how the ball,
Yeah,
how the
it's
ball
rare
rolls.
air. It should be rare air, as you know. I do want to say, future Hall of Famers. Let's talk about Riken, unanimous Defensive Player of the Year, first team running back in the Kingco Conference. Is he going to pull a Travis Hunter and come on down to college and play the same way?
I don't know, but I was really proud of my son the way he played this year because he played something like 110 snaps a game, and he laid it all out there and had an excellent season. They ended up losing in the state championship game. He had already won 2 state championships since he had been at his high school, but he wanted to finish his career with another one, and he didn't. So he was pretty broke up about that, but. I'm proud of the way he played and how he handled himself, and then we're looking forward to the future now.
Two-time state champion. Of course, your dad, you want him to make his own decisions, successes, mistakes, failures, all of that. How hard is it to not get in his ear and say, go here, do this, do that?
I've never tried to do that with him because
Hmm.
nobody did that to me. My mother didn't do that with me, tell me which sport to play or what position to play or anything like that. So I let him pick the sport that he wanted to play. I never pushed football on him. I started him out in soccer. I wanted him to play baseball. He played basketball. He did it all, but football is where his love was. So, and then he didn't want to be a quarterback, which I had no problem with as well. He really wanted to be a wide receiver, but the offense that they ran at his high school, he basically had to play a little bit more running back and wing back. So he has the ability to play wide receiver. He can play on defense as a safety or a nickel. So he's got a lot of different versatility to his game, and we'll just have to figure out where a college football team wants to put him because he can play a lot of different places.
You always have the best answers to everything. It is such a pleasure to talk to you. Hopefully, you'll enjoy Super Bowl, and we will see you at the draft, maybe in Green Bay, and for sure, I'll see you a week after, at least at the Derby. Yeah,
We're going to be at the Derby, and I'm going to buy you your first mint julep.
always. We love that. You are so incredible. Thank you so much for the talk. A true first ballot Hall of Famer, Warren Moon.
Thank you, Kay. Have a great day. All right. See you soon.